I'm Mary Kane, and I've seen better days in actual active war zones than I'm seeing in the district right now.
I'm John Steele, and I am currently wondering if my goat Mitch has a more coherent grasp of the Constitution than the 6 people currently gutting it.
This is Julian Archer, and frankly, I am energized by the sheer, unadulterated audacity of the villainy we're witnessing today.
Maya Thorne here, just watching the Republic's subscription to democracy enter its final cancellation phase.
Look, we've got a heavy docket today. The kind of day that makes you want to go back to yesterday when we were just worrying about James Comey seashells and the lithium mines.
Oh, the seashell indictment? That was a classic. Only this administration could turn a beach photo into a felony. But today, look, we've got the Supreme Court finishing the demolition of the Voting Rights Act, the GOP trying to turn the country into a panopticon for $140 billion, and a literal purge of the National Science Board.
It's a lot. It's like the war on reality finally decided to just launch the nukes.
Well, put your helmet on, John, because we are starting with the highest court in the land playing demolition derby with our ballots. Look, here's the deal with Cali versus Louisiana. I've seen some dirty games in my time. I've covered elections in places where the polling booths were literally in the back of a tank. But what SCOTUS did yesterday? It's a plumbing job where they didn't just clog the pipes. They ripped out the main drain and told us to be grateful for the leak.
It is absurd. They just effectively ended Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, the last pillar, the thing that was actually keeping some semblance of representation in the South.
But Samuel Alito, he writes this opinion like he's explaining why he has to kick a puppy. He says the VRA has been misinterpreted for decades. Suddenly, you don't just have to show that a map results in discrimination, which, by the way, it clearly did. You have to prove intentional discrimination.
Right. You need a signed confession from the map maker saying they hate these people specifically, or Alito refuses to hear it. It is the race-blind defense. It is like a guy hitting you with a car and saying he did not mean to hit you. He just meant to drive exactly where you were standing.
No, literally, it's giving gaslight, gatekeep, gerrymander. Louisiana has a population that is 1/3 black, but the court just tossed the map that gave them 2 districts out of 6. Simple math is apparently too woke for the conservative majority.
It's a power grab. They know the 2026 midterms are coming, and they're clearing the brush. If you can't win the voters, just make sure the voters don't count. According to Common Cause, this is the completed demolition.
It's legislative constipation at the highest level. They're blocking the flow of the electorate and doing it with such smugness.
I gotta tell ya, when I was in Queens last night, just thinking about this isn't just a Louisiana problem. This is the green light for every GOP legislature in the country to start carving up minority communities like a cheap Thanksgiving turkey.
And meanwhile, while the court is killing the vote, the House is building the cage. I'm telling you, the GOP strategy right now is a 2-headed monster of mass deportation and mass surveillance. They're executing this America First agenda like it's a midnight raid.
I saw the numbers. $140 billion for ICE and Border Patrol? $140 billion. I mean, you could buy everyone in the country a therapy session and a decent pair of shoes for that.
It's actually so mid. They're using the budget reconciliation process so they can bypass the filibuster. It's a speed run of fascism, and the details are low-key horrifying. $45 billion just for building immigration jails? That is 13 times the previous budget.
13 times? Are you kidding me with these guys? They're building a jail boom, and they're ending the time in custody restrictions for kids. Look, I've seen refugee camps that were better run than what they're proposing for children.
Exactly. They want to hold minors indefinitely. And the DHS has been shut down for 69 days. People aren't getting paid. The system is crumbling. And Mike Johnson's answer is to throw $100 billion at the machine while extending FISA 702 spy powers.
The FISA thing. That's the kicker. They want to spy on everyone while they're kicking people out. It's the surveillance to deportation pipeline. They want the power to look into your digital basement without a warrant while they're drafting the manifest for the buses.
It's giving Big Brother is watching you, but also Big Brother is putting you on a plane. High-key dystopian.
Honestly, it's just more digital snake oil. My nephew Vector probably loves this stuff. He's probably trying to sell the government a blockchain-based deportation tracker as we speak.
The Daily Delusion probably has a segment on how surveillance is efficiency. But let's talk about what they're doing to the people who actually know things.
Well, the war on science just had its Friday night massacre. The administration fired all 22 members of the National Science Board via email.
An email? After 70 years of independence? It's like firing the coaching staff of a pro team via a text message while they're mid-game.
It is a total decapitation. The NSB oversees the National Science Foundation, $9 billion in research budget, and they just cleared the room so they can install political loyalists.
Kevin Stassen, Yolanda Gill, these are eminent scientists. Terminated. It follows the pattern of RFK Jr. purging the vaccine committee. I mean, when you remove the experts, all you're left with is the ideology.
We are in our dark ages era. Science is out, vibes and loyalty tests are in. Lee Zeldin is at the EPA literally doing a controlled burn of the department's budget, slashing it by $4.2 billion.
And they're disciplining whistleblowers. If you're at the EPA and you sign a dissent letter, you're looking at a disciplinary hearing. They're turning federal agencies into a neighborhood HOA run by a guy who hates trees.
It is a global shakedown of the truth. And it's not just the environment. Look at what they're spending on the actual wars.
I gotta tell you, Pete Hegseth is in the hot seat, and he is sweating through that suit. Operation Epic Fury, the war with Iran, has already cost $25 billion in 2 months.
$25 billion for munitions and maintenance? And the oil prices are at $125 a barrel. It's a miracle of fiscal irresponsibility.
But Hegseth, he goes before the House Armed Services Committee, and he's caught in this logical loop. He says the nuclear facilities were obliterated last year, but we're at war now because of an imminent nuclear threat. Which is it? Is it a pile of dust or is it a bomb?
Logic is a no-cap casualty of war. The 60-day war powers deadline is up this week, and they have zero legal basis for being there. It's just main character syndrome on a global scale.
Representative Adam Smith was right. Wish fulfillment is not a strategy. They're trying to manifest a victory in a quagmire while the region burns.
And speaking of burning, have you seen the reports coming out of Lebanon? They're calling it Operation Silver Plow.
It is horrific. Domicide, that's the word. The systematic destruction of homes to make an area uninhabitable. Over 1.6 million people displaced in Lebanon.
20% of the population gone. The Lebanese Ministry of Health says over 2,500 killed, and Haaretz is reporting that Israeli units are literally being assigned polygons on a map to level. Not tactical targets, just polygons.
It's the Gaza playbook, just rebranded for the north. And they're intercepting the global Sumud flotilla in international waters, hundreds of miles from Gaza.
Look, when you're stopping aid ships in the middle of the ocean, you've lost the moral high ground. You're not just defending a border, you're enforcing a famine.
And it's a diplomatic firestorm. But hey, before we move on to the actual fight for our own backyard, I want to take a second for the people who make this show possible. Look, independent media like this doesn't just manifest out of the ether. It takes real human work to build the infrastructure. We are 100% here because of the vision and the grind of our creator, Eric Christensen, at Neural Network Media. He's not a media conglomerate. He's a builder who poured his own resources and time into creating this platform so we could have these conversations. If you value independent voices over corporate algorithms, please like, subscribe, and consider visiting our new Patreon at patreon.com/Neural Network Media to support this work. It's an act of solidarity that keeps the lights on and the servers running.
Okay, switching gears to something that actually slaps. The Congressional Progressive Caucus just dropped the new affordability agenda, and honestly, it's a total vibe shift.
The PTO Act? Seth Magaziner is pushing for 2 weeks of guaranteed paid vacation? Is that even allowed in America? I thought we were legally required to work until we collapsed.
No, literally. 27 million people have zero paid time off. This bill would fix that. And AOC's Childcare for Every Community Act caps costs at 7% of income.
It is a battle plan. Greg Kasar and the CPC are finally moving from defense to offense. They're taking on the oligarchs. Capping super PAC contributions at $5,000? That is a dagger to the heart of the billionaire class.
I gotta tell you, this is that union hall energy I've been missing. Doubling federal overtime pay, that hits 13 million workers right in the wallet where they need it. It's common sense policy that treats workers like human beings instead of replaceable parts in a machine.
It's a contract with America that doesn't feel like a predatory loan. But of course, while they're trying to pass legislation, the rhetoric on the street is turning deadly.
The investigation into the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting, it's getting darker. Elias Thorne, the gunman, they found a manifesto, The Final Filter.
He cited the media as a legitimate military target. This isn't a lone wolf. This is a radicalized cell called the Vanguard of the Republic.
It's the Saturday Night Massacre for the TikTok era. 4 dead, including 2 journalists. The administration is using the chaos to marginalize critics, but the violence is coming from their own base.
It's a feedback loop. You spend 3 years calling the press the enemy of the people, and eventually someone decides to go to the dinner with a rifle. It's the nerd prom turned into a battlefield.
Look, I've been in war zones, but I never thought I'd see a Secret Service agent killed at a black-tie dinner in D.C. because some kid got radicalized by an encrypted cloud doc.
And the Supreme Court is busy debating whether the government can track your phone to find you.
Chattree versus United States, the geofence warrant case. This is huge. The police can basically draw a circle around a crime scene and tell Google, give me the names of every person in this circle.
It's a digital dragnet. Google's Sensor Vault tracks you 240 times a day. If you were getting a coffee near a protest, congratulations, you're a suspect.
Even Alito was skeptical. Well, kind of. He asked if you can just flip off your location history. Typical. If you don't want the government to have it, just don't have a phone. It's absurd.
But Sotomayor and Gorsuch, an unusual alliance, the reports called it. They compared it to the general warrants the British used to use, searching everyone to find someone. It's a modern-day violation of the Fourth Amendment.
I'm not gonna lie, the idea that Alito thinks opting into a map app means you've waived your right to not be tracked by the cops it's just old man yelling at cloud energy.
Except a cloud is spying on you. Low-key scary.
And it all comes back to this federal power grab. This one big, beautiful bill act from last year is now being used to crush state autonomy.
The Made in America executive order, they're using it to crack down on state-level procurement, telling Democratic governors they can't run their own supply chains.
It's a protectionist power grab. They want to bypass state manufacturing standards. It's the 50 versus the 1. And the 1 is winning.
They're even trying to seize control of state mail-in voting lists. It is a systemic effort to hollow out every institution that isn't under direct White House control.
It's a neighborhood feud where one neighbor decides he's the mayor and starts trying to put a lien on your garage.
Okay, but the legal hammer is finally dropping on the main character himself. The Second Circuit just told Trump no on his E. Jean Carroll rehearing.
$83 million denied. Even with 3 Trump appointees dissenting, the majority held the line. Judge Denny Chin said he showed no remorse.
Remorse? This guy doesn't know the meaning of the word. He continued the attacks during the trial. He treats the courtroom like a reality show set where he's the executive producer.
Well, the executive producer is about to be $83 million lighter. Although I'm sure he'll just send out an email asking for Patriot donations to cover the bill.
His donors are in their ATM era. But there's a real ethics crisis hitting the RNC, too. Vile and violent internal messages. Governor Newsom is calling for a congressional investigation.
It is a total moral collapse. When your internal communications look like a dark web forum, you've lost the right to lead a major political party.
Look, here's the deal. We are seeing the rules of the game being rewritten in real time. Whether it's Alito gutting the VRA or the RNC-linked groups acting like playground bullies with nuclear codes, the goal is the same. They want to break the system so they can be the only ones left to fix it.
But we aren't letting them. The progressives have a plan. The courts are holding the line on occasion. And we are here to shine a light on every single polygon they try to level.
I'm going to go feed Mitch. He makes more sense than Pete Hegseth.
Based. Catch you all in the next era.
Stay gritty, stay informed, and don't let the bastards grind you down. Back tomorrow to see what else they can.